This episode is presented by Ruvi, the most real indoor cycling experience that delivers the famous cycling routes to your home. Go to ruvi.com and start your free 14-day trial.
Let's get down to business. I'm talking about the Val di Sole World Cup round in Italy. And the snow fell. That's just what we wanted. That's what the organizers wanted. And we saw a beautiful race. And the race was won by Michael Turnhout. It wasn't Mathieu van der Poel, the big gun on the start line. But instead it was Michael van Turnhout, who had already won a World Cup series earlier this season. And Van der Poel didn't ever really look to have that Van der Poel spark. Tim, what do you think happened with Mathieu van der Poel?
Well, I think that the Val di Sole course was tough on its own, built, made for the snow as we see. But this was also after a day of racing, and the course was just in really tough shape. He started in the back, as normal, but without that extra gear, extra bit of power, and without a place to put it, it really kind of set him off for a really tough first lap. We've seen him and Pidcock go from the back rows all the way to the front, all within the first lap. And that's usually when you have traction, when you can show your power, you can show your technique. A snowy course like this, can't do that.
In cycling, there we are. We see Eli Iserbyt. We're going to get into that nasty crash. There's no extreme weather protocols like the fair weather road cyclists have. This white snow in the Alps, it made for a beautiful backdrop. We had snow. That's what everybody wanted, but it was like those guys were racing on an ice rink out there. Do you think this course is just as dangerous as all the other cyclocross race courses? And also, do you think it played into the minds of Wout van Aert and Tom Pidcock not to show up in Val di Sole?
Well, I think that danger is definitely relative. This kind of course is what you race on every single weekend in the Czech Republic. It's what the Swiss riders are really familiar with. It's what we have raced on quite a bit in the United States. To have a World Cup on snow is not unusual. This is really something that we saw in every Czech round over the last 30 years. So it's kind of just everything old is new again. And so people have to readjust to it. It's not that it's that dangerous. I think that we've, as we get into the women's race coverage, we'll start to define what it means to have a Charlie horse in Flemish. But, it's tough to watch riders crash, but it's just really the cost. When you hang it all out there, you're going to hit the ground if you go too far.
It's funny you mentioned Charlie horse, because I was reading through some articles translated from Dutch to English, and I saw that word come up referring to Ben Van Empel. Yeah, we'll get into that. I kind of skipped over Eli Iserbyt there. It looked nasty, and he was carried off in a stretcher. Thankfully, he doesn't have a fracture, is what the team is saying. So that's good news for him. What did you think when you saw that there, Tim?
It's the kind of thing where if it hurts that bad, you think that something's really wrong. And he obviously erred on the side of a conservative response to ask for help. But that kind of crash, everyone does it. It's just the name of the game. He wasn't able to get back up again. We see this kind of thing from Eli once or twice over the years, and it is tough. But it just goes to show, when you're doing 30 miles an hour around a corner on ice and you hit the ground, that ground is very, very hard. So didn't look like it felt very good for poor Eli.
It's not quite fair to Eli, also to Michael van Turnhout, who won his second World Cup this season, that we're always talking about Tom Pidcock, we're always talking about Mathieu van der Poel, we're always talking about Wout van Aert. But I guess we should celebrate. There he is. He's celebrating. We should celebrate his victory. What does this mean for the Belgian, do you think?
He's really a master with anything technical. He can put the power down anywhere. He's excellent with bike handling. Always has a really solid start. You never, ever see him make a mistake. The only way that he really loses a race is by having a rider who's stronger than him show up and be able to put together a complete hour. But for him to get this win, not a surprise, seeing how Pidcock and Van Aert wasn't on the line and going up against a subpar Van der Poel. So he took advantage of it, and he's walking away with that win.